This summer, I spent almost a whole month eating my way through Europe. Pasta, pretzels, gelato, French fries, all the things I would normally avoid. But when I finally came home, I hadn't actually gained any weight. It's pretty crazy, especially when I realized that 5 years ago, one little cheat meal would leave me 3 pounds heavier and spiraling with guilt for weeks. But the difference isn't willpower, it's metabolic flexibility. And once you understand what that actually means, everything about weight loss starts to make sense. Welcome to the Feel Better, Live Free podcast brought to you by Thinlicious. I'm your host, Ruth Sukup, and here we'll talk about everything from the science of weight loss to practical tips for making your health a priority in the midst of a busy life. It's a little bit nerdy, a little bit funny, and a little bit revolutionary. So buckle up, friend, because it's about to get real. Hey there, and welcome back to the show. Once again, my name is Ruth Sukup, and I am the founder of Thinlicious and the creator of the Thin Adapted System. And if this is your first time listening to the Feel Better, Live Free podcast, then here's what you should know about me. I'm a 47-year-old woman who struggled with my weight and health for 10 long years, failing at diet after diet, until I finally decided to take a radically different approach. Instead of starting yet another diet, I started researching the actual science of weight loss and metabolism and learned what it actually means to be metabolically flexible. But after getting back from vacation recently, it occurred to me that I don't think I talk nearly enough specifically about metabolic flexibility and what that really means or what it looks like. I talk a lot about all the things you can do to lose weight, but not nearly enough about the freedom that happens when you actually heal your body. Because when I started doing all the research, I basically discovered that pretty much everything I'd ever been taught about losing weight was backwards. The calorie counting, the restriction, the willpower, all of it was actually making my problem worse. And the moment I stopped fighting my body and started working with it instead, that's when everything clicked. And so today, we're going to talk about why that whole approach is completely backwards. We're diving deep into metabolic flexibility, what it actually means, why it's the real game changer for your health, and how you can stop fighting your body and start working with it instead. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why every diet has failed you, what your body actually needs to burn fat efficiently, and how you can finally get the food freedom you've been dreaming about. Plus, I'm going to share something pretty exciting I'm launching that can help you put all of this into action for the last 90 days of this year. So let's dig in, because the truth is that I get pretty fired up about all this stuff. And it's because I spent 10 years trapped in what I now call the diet prison. And maybe right now you feel like you're trapped there too. You know the cycle. You start a new plan full of hope. Maybe it's Weight Watchers with their point system or some juice cleanse promising to reset your metabolism. You follow the rules perfectly, measuring portions, tracking every bite, saying no to everything you actually want to eat. And for a while, it seems to work. You lose a few pounds, you feel like you're finally getting somewhere, but then life happens. You go to a birthday party, or you're stressed about work, or you just get tired of being hungry all the time, so you eat something off plan. And not only do you gain back everything you lost, you gain back more. You feel like a failure. You blame yourself for not having enough willpower. Here's what I want you to understand. You haven't been failing. The advice you've been given has been failing you. Because like I said, for 10 years, I was stuck in this exact same trap. Oh my gosh. I can't even tell you how many diets I tried and failed at. I did the cabbage soup diet, the fat flush diet, green smoothie cleanses, juice cleanses, all sorts of ridiculous stuff. I tried Weight Watchers, which is basically just calorie restriction dressed up with points. I had meal delivery services that sent me tiny portions of cardboard tasting healthy food. And let me tell you what happened every single time. I would lose a little bit of weight while I was starving myself, and then as soon as I started eating like a normal human being again, all the weight would come right back. Plus some extra for good measure. I was always miserable. I was always hungry. I was always thinking about food. Does any of this sound familiar? But here's the thing that really changed everything for me. As my girls got older and started hitting those vulnerable teenage years, I realized I didn't want them watching me diet. I didn't want them to pick up my insecurities about food and my body. I didn't want to be that mom. I wanted to model health for them, not restriction and misery. So I said no more. No more diets. I'm not going to do that anymore. But I also didn't want to be the fat mom. So I decided to take a totally different approach to try to figure out and understand what was actually going on and what was actually happening with my body. I started reading tons of books. Why We Get Fat by Gary Taubes was one of the first books that led me down the rabbit hole. It was so well researched and contained so much information from actual studies that it made me want to go and read all the studies. And then my friend, Edie, aka Dr. Edie, who is now our Thinlicious physician advisor, recommend Benjamin Bickman's book, Why We Get Sick, and Jason Fung's The Obesity Code. So if you want to start doing your own research, those are some really great places to begin. But for me, that's when everything shifted. Instead of looking for the next quick fix, I started focusing on healing my body and my metabolism. And what I discovered completely blew my mind. Because here's what I think not enough people really understand. Your body is a miracle machine. It's literally designed to protect you and operate at your optimum weight. That's how your body is supposed to work. That's how your body wants to work. Think about animals in nature. You never see overweight animals living in their natural habitat, ever. The only time you see obese animals is when they've been corrupted by modern society, like dogs being fed human food and getting all the same garbage we're getting. But in nature, animals aren't overweight because it's impossible to overeat when you're eating what nature intended. Their bodies take the nutrients they need and discard the rest. That's how your body is designed to function too. The problem is, we've basically messed everything up with all the processed crap we've introduced into our diets. The ultra-processed foods, the seed oils, the high fructose corn syrup, all this garbage has wreaked havoc on our bodies. And it's why we have an epidemic of obesity in this country. So what is metabolic flexibility? Simply put, it's your body being able to switch between burning fat and carbs for fuel effortlessly. When you're metabolically flexible, your body is operating in its most natural state. You can easily process calories, get nutrients from your food, and discard what you don't need. Your body gets back to its optimum weight range, the place where you feel the best, look the best, and have the most energy. And here's the kicker, it's really not about calories at all. Most people also don't understand this, but your body is burning thousands and thousands of calories every single day just to keep you alive. The amount of energy required to keep your brain functioning, your organs working, your heart pumping blood through your veins 24 hours a day is massive. Your body is constantly manufacturing energy in your mitochondria. So this whole calories in, calories out thing, it's garbage. The real issue is what happens when your insulin levels are elevated, your body goes into fat storage mode. That's what bodies do when they think there's a crisis coming. They store fat to prepare for the famine. When you're metabolically flexible, you've retrained your metabolism to work the way it's supposed to. And that changes everything. So let me explain why every diet you've ever tried has failed you. Because it has nothing to do with your willpower and everything to do with hormones. And not only that, the biggest hormone issue we're dealing with is insulin resistance. It's estimated that about 90% of the population has some form of insulin resistance because of the modern American diet. When you have insulin resistance and your insulin is continually elevated, your body literally cannot burn fat. It's stuck in storage mode. So what happens when you start dieting, when you restrict calories and start starving yourself? You put your hormones into crisis mode, your body freaks out and thinks it's in a famine, so it clings to every ounce of fat it can and makes it really, really hard to lose weight. This is why you can eat 1,200 calories a day and still not lose weight. Your body is fighting you every step of the way because it thinks you're dying. I learned this the hard way after years of failing at diet after diet. But once I understood the science, everything changed. Instead of restricting myself, I started focusing on healing my body. I cut out the sugar and processed crap, and I started eating real food, nutrient dense protein, healthy fats, and vegetables. I never restricted my calories. In fact, I ate a lot when I was first learning how to eat this way. I was experimenting, making amazing food, recreating my favorite dishes to make them healthier. My whole family loved it. And I never felt deprived because I was having so much fun with it. Yet the weight started coming off. I lost 30 pounds in the first 3 months. Then I hit a plateau and had to do more research. I realized I was eating too much fat and not enough protein, so I adjusted and I lost another 19 pounds. But here's the beautiful part. It wasn't about hitting some deadline or punishing my body. It was about healing. For me, it's still about healing and about nourishing my body with food that makes me feel good. And now, 4 years later, I've not only maintained my weight loss, I'm truly at a place where my body is metabolically flexible. My metabolism works the way it's supposed to. So let me paint you a picture of what this freedom actually looks like in real life. This summer, I went to Europe for a month, first for my niece's wedding in Italy, and then traveling with my sister for a few more weeks. We spent 10 days in Italy, and it was absolutely amazing. The food, especially. We went to a pasta making class, and it was so much fun. I ate pasta pretty much every single day we were in Italy. I had gelato and fresh focaccia bread, and I thoroughly enjoyed every single bite. Then we went to Switzerland, and I feasted on fresh pretzels and Swiss fondue, and of course, Swiss chocolate. In Spain, I tried as many different tapas as I could possibly eat and had plenty of sangria. In Portugal, we were told that the thing we had to try was the famous francesinha sandwich, so we did. And it was really good. In Holland, which is the place I consider my homeland, we had to get all the Dutch comfort foods. We went to 5 different countries and tried everything, all the foods I was supposedly not allowed to eat. But I came back home, and you know what happened? I was maybe a pound or 2 above my normal range, probably just water weight. Within a week, I was right back to my normal weight. This is what metabolic flexibility looks like. This is what happens when you've actually healed your body instead of just restricting it into submission. Compare that to the old days when I was dieting. If I had even one cheat meal, I would gain 3 pounds overnight and spend the next 2 weeks hating myself and trying to undo the damage. The shame cycle was real, and I could never get out of it. But when your metabolism is working properly, your body knows what to do. It takes what it needs and gets rid of the rest. You don't have to white knuckle your way through every social event or vacation. I eat sourdough bread almost every day now because I'm obsessed with making it. I enjoy food, I live my life, and my body can handle it because I've created true metabolic flexibility. That said, there are definitely things I don't eat. Not because I can't, but because I honestly don't want to. I don't really eat processed foods at all anymore, especially not ultra-processed foods. No Oreos, no cereal, no seed oils. We eat at home most of the time, honestly, because going out to eat these days always feels like a disappointment. The food is overpriced and not that good, especially not compared to the delicious meals we eat at home. And because I know I'm eating food that nourishes my body and doesn't put my hormones into crisis, I'm not ever worried about how much I eat. In fact, I don't really think about food that much at all, except for when I'm planning our meals or actually cooking them. It's so different than it used to be. But to me, this is what freedom looks like: eating, enjoying, living without fear, not spending every waking moment thinking about what you can and can't eat, not avoiding social events because you're afraid of the food, not feeling like a failure every time you want to enjoy a meal with your family. Now, here's where I need to get real with you about something. I know this is frustrating to hear, especially when you're desperate to see changes, but creating metabolic flexibility takes time. Real change is a long game. I get it. When you're working towards something, you want to see results. You want the scale to move every single day. You want to feel different immediately. The problem is, we've been conditioned by diet culture to expect instant gratification. But think about this. How long did it take for your body to get to where it is now? If you're like most women over 40, you've probably been gaining weight slowly for years, maybe even decades. Your insulin resistance didn't develop overnight. Your metabolism didn't break in a week. So, why do we expect to fix it in a week? When I first started this journey, I had to completely shift my mindset. Instead of focusing on how fast I could lose weight, I started focusing on how I could heal my body. Instead of punishing myself for being weak, I started understanding that my body was doing exactly what it was designed to do in response to the crap I'd been feeding it. The beautiful thing about focusing on healing instead of restriction is that the results are sustainable. When you create true metabolic flexibility, you don't have to maintain it through willpower. Your body maintains it naturally because that's how it's supposed to work. But I'm going to be honest with you, this requires patience. It requires trusting the process even when the scale isn't moving as fast as you want. It requires believing that healing your body is more important than fitting into those jeans by next month. And here's something I've learned after working with thousands of women. The ones who succeed are the ones who zoom out and look at the bigger picture. They're the ones who think in terms of quarters and years, not days and weeks, which brings me to the Finish Strong project. And maybe you've already heard me talk about this on social media or in my emails lately, but I don't think I can honestly emphasize enough just how excited I am for these next 3 months and for how impactful I think it is going to be for so many women. And if you haven't joined yet, I really hope that you'll consider it. Because this time of year, when so many women throw in the towel, especially when it comes to health and weight loss, they think, oh, I've already messed up over the summer. The holidays are coming. I might as well wait until January. But here's the thing. You actually have a lot of time left between now and the end of the year. There are 90 whole days. That's an entire quarter. And even if you have to factor in holiday planning and family obligations, that doesn't mean there's no room to work on yourself and your goals. Think about this. What if instead of starting from zero come January 1st, you started from 50% or 75%? How much more powerful would your New Year's goals be if you already had momentum behind you? This is exactly why I'm doing the Finish Strong project. I'm sharing the same quarterly sprint system that I've been using behind the scenes for the past 15 years to run my business and manage my life. But I've never shared it quite like this before. Because the thing about life and about trying to achieve goals is that it can all start to feel really unmanageable if you don't have a really good system for breaking them down into daily action. It's not enough to just make a list of things you want to accomplish, because that's not how things actually get done. Things get done in the day-to-day. Things get done when you break them down into manageable bites, little tiny steps you can take each day. And that's what my quarterly sprint system does. It's not just a process of figuring out what you want and writing down goals. It's an actual system that gets you into a quarterly planning rhythm. You think about what you want to accomplish for the quarter, but then you break it down by month, then you break it down by week, then you break it down by day. I have all the tools for this, and they're tools I've refined over 15 years of running multiple businesses. Some of them I've shared before in other programs, but I've never brought them all together quite like this. But here's what I think will be really powerful about this group. Unless you see how this actually works in real life, it's hard to understand how to implement it yourself. My hope is that by being completely transparent about my process, how I'm deciding on my goals, what I'm working toward, how I'm handling the inevitable messes and pivots, you'll be able to see how to apply this same system to your own life. Because let me tell you, even when you have great systems, everything doesn't just work perfectly. Life is messy. Goals are messy. The process of getting intentional about what you want and actually working toward it is messy. But that messiness is important. What people see on social media is just the highlight reel, the wins, the successes, the finish line moments. They don't see the daily grind, the setbacks, the times when you have to pivot because life threw you a curveball. I want to show you all of it, the behind the scenes reality of what it actually looks like to be someone who sets goals and goes after them. Because I think there's this misconception that it should be easy, that successful people just have some magic formula that makes everything flow perfectly. That's not reality. But what is real is having systems and processes that help you navigate the mess and keep moving forward anyway. All that to say, I hope you join me. Join me for the last 90 days of this year. Come behind the scenes and watch me plan and execute my quarterly sprint. Use my planning tools alongside me to create your own sprint. Let's finish this year strong together. I'm going to be going live in the group as often as I can to talk about what I'm working on, how it's going, what's not working, and how I'm pivoting. I'll be sharing my wins and my struggles with complete transparency. But this isn't just about me. I want to cheer you on as you work toward your own goals. I want to offer feedback and help where I can. And I think the whole community is going to be incredible. Imagine being surrounded by people who are all committed to finishing strong, who refuse to let anything stand in their way. We are literally kicking things off in the group today, and it's only $47 for 3 months. Basically, I'm charging just enough to keep out the trolls and crazy people because I'm going to be pretty vulnerable in this space. But it's priced low enough that the value you'll get far exceeds what you're paying. You get access to all of my planning tools. I've put together a special planner just for this group that is absolutely incredible. You also get a ticket to my Ignite Your Best Year Yet event, which normally costs $297, plus some other amazing bonuses. But more than that, you get to be part of a community of women who are choosing momentum over excuses, who are choosing progress over perfection, who are thinking bigger picture instead of getting caught up in daily fluctuations. Whether your goal is to start healing your metabolism, lose weight, get your energy back, or something completely different, this system works because it's not about the specific goal. It's about having a process that actually gets you from where you are to where you want to be. Let me bring this full circle for you. Everything we've talked about today, metabolic flexibility, healing your body, thinking long-term instead of looking for quick fixes, it all comes down to this one fundamental truth. Your body was designed to work for you, not against you. For too long, you've been at war with your body. You've been trying to force it into submission through restriction and punishment. You've been blaming yourself when it fights back, when it clings to fat, when it refuses to cooperate with your latest diet. But what if I told you that your body is actually trying to protect you? What if all of those failures weren't failures at all, but your body desperately trying to keep you alive in the face of what it perceives as starvation? When you understand metabolic flexibility, when you start working with your body instead of against it, everything changes. You stop fighting and start healing. You stop restricting and start nourishing. You stop hating your body and start trusting it to do what it was designed to do. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to wait until January to start. You don't have to postpone your health and happiness until some arbitrary date on the calendar. You can start today, right now. Your body is waiting for you to give it what it actually needs. Real food, proper nutrition, time to heal, and the patience to let it do what it does best. And if you want to join me for the last 90 days of this year, if you want to be part of a community of women who are choosing to finish strong, just use the link in the show notes to join the Finish Strong Project, and let's do this together. Remember, this isn't about restriction. This isn't about punishment. This is about training your body to become metabolically flexible so it can finally work the way it was designed to work. You've got this. Your body wants to be healthy. It wants to be at its optimal weight. It wants to give you energy and vitality and freedom from food obsession. You just have to give it the chance. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend who needs to hear this message. And if you haven't already, please leave me a review. It helps more women find this podcast and discover that there's a better way than dieting. Until next time, here's to feeling better and living free.